Hello, 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 and welcome, my Capricorn Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Welcome to your Twin Flame contract read for February, March 2020. Really, by the time I get this out, it'll be March, pretty much, or damn close to. I am your reader, Angelo Lyons, Mal for short, president of Drawing the Circle Productions, professional witch, professional intuitive, and fellow Earth sign. Yay, Virgo. Sun, 4 planets, second house in Virgo. So ready to rock and roll and ready to serve. If you are new to my channel, please do like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, right? Because I'm posting stuff pretty much every day, maybe taking one day off a week. Why? Because this is my gig now. Go fig, right? So please comment in the description box below. I have no idea who a lot of these people are who are watching these. And sometimes these twin flame reads, there are so many people in the collective that when people actually say, oh yeah, that's me, I'm the divine feminine, he's the divine masculine, however that works out, and it's just really cool. Otherwise it's like peeping into a sitcom or a romantic comedy tragedy, right, and not knowing how it ends or who the characters really are. So I do appreciate it. It's fun for me, interesting for me. Cool. So let's get down to biz for this particular reading, right? For starters, it is a general read. So as skilled as I am, it'll be 40 years I've been reading tarots this year. Started when I was 12. I'm going to be 52 in September. So, you know, it's a general read. I'm very good at reading people one-on-one, but in general reads, the best you can get is archetypal themes, stories. So that being said, please take what resonates in this reading and check your other signs, which is why I do Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs, so that you can get different percentages of accuracy for the different placements in your chart. Just makes it easier for me, and I think more fun. Like I myself, as a Virgo, I'm a Pisces moon. I find that the Pisces readings that I watch on YouTube kind of resonate in a total different way, right? So that being said, this is a twin flame contract read. Twin flame contracts are different than soulmate contracts. There are 2 videos in the description box below. Well, actually, there are a bunch of them. One of them is my thank you to my subscribers for getting me past 1,000, getting me into the 1,000 subscriber mark. I did a thank you video there with a blessing and all of that. So if you're one of my returning subscribers, and even if you're not, go check it out. And I give a blessing at the end for New Moon, because that's when I did it, but you know, for whenever you need it. But also one by me and one by the spiritual teacher Matt Kahn, and we are going to be using his healing mantra deck as the last card down. Really redefining what twin flame contracts and soulmate contracts are. In a nutshell, a twin flame contract is a pre-incarnational agreement, right, between you and other souls. You certainly have more than one twin flame in every lifetime. You may have several. In that, the bottom line of the contract is you teach each other how to love yourselves. Did you hear that? You teach each other how to love yourselves, how to set boundaries, how to respect yourselves, how to accept yourselves, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Because you can't, by contract, give each other the love that you want, but you may very well be giving each other exactly what you need in order for your soul to grow. So that's why they are soul contracts, not personality contracts. Personality contracts is do everything to make me happy or I'm out. And that's not the soul level of things at all. Your soul, in a sense, was hired, cast to play the role in the body that you're in. So these are just the relationships and the agreements that come along with it for the betterment of your soul. I didn't make it that way. I wouldn't have made it that way. I am a hedonist. But I also think the more and more you heal and process and complete these twin flame contracts, you become the mate of your own soul. You become your own soulmate, and then you're so much more prepared for that perhaps romantic, intimate, sexual soulmate contract, because you've really learned how to give yourself the love that only you can give you. That's what these relationships are for, and that's why they are extremely helpful. But they are also transformative, turbulent, tricky, painful, oh my goodness gracious, because we so want it to work out. But also they're not romantic sexual all the time, right? My father and I were twin flames. My mother and I are soulmates. Soulmate contracts. You help each other heal. They're satisfying. They're symbiotic. I do a whole set of reads for those every month too. So there is a difference. So whether this one pops up as romantic, sexual, or not, know that it's the one you need to know about, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, so that you can learn what you need to learn to love yourself, to find your own wholeness and your own completion that is already within you, right? It's what the soul is. Cool. A couple more things. We're going to be looking at Divine Feminine and Divine Masculine as ways of identifying two parties in a contract. It's not about gender-based, it's not about, biological gender or anything like that. I would say Divine Yin, Divine Yang, but then I'd have to explain that too. So the Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine is how people discuss it on YouTube and in general in the West. So that's the language I'll use, no biggie. But do keep in mind this is a twin flame reading, so you might be mirroring each other. So you're really going to have to kind of tune in to feel, well, which one am I, considering we all have masculine and feminine energy. And that's why the last piece of advice, counsel that I give before the reading begins is to breathe, right? Find the still point, right? Find that stillness in the present moment. That's where the divine resides within you and within all things, always in the here and now. So I'm going to focus on my breath. I have a little thing going on in the back of my throat. I'll heal that as the day goes on. So I'm going to be very conscious of my breath as I do this. If you're doing the same, we're both being in the present moment. We're both tuning to the divine in our own unique ways. But the divine is where my readings come from. So you're actually tapping into the very source that I am. Because there's only one source. Cool, cool. Let's do this. My Capricorns, take a nice couple of deep breaths. And find that still point. Ring the silent bell in the heart. Here we go. My collective pantheons of angels, goddesses, gods, masters, and the higher selves of all involved, please. 3 Caroline Mace archetype cards. All the decks I read are in the bottom of the description box. 1 for the Divine Feminine, 1 for the Divine Masculine, and 1 for this overall Capricorn collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs in their twin flame contracts. I want to see the twin flame contract here for this Capricorn collective, end of February all the way through March. Cool, please. So 1 for the Divine Feminine. There we go. 1 for the Divine Masculine. There he is. And 1 for the overall contract itself for February, March 2020, my Capricorns. Now, just so you know, I bless the decks every time before I hit record, so my pantheons already know who's working who for what deck and what signs and all of that. But that, what I do before I draw the cards is essentially a prayer. I'm asking for them specifically for the certain sequence, but they already know what it is, right? Now, before I flip these cards, the Caroline Mace archetype cards in particular can be a little triggery. Why? Because archetypes are neutral, right? Read Sacred Contracts by her. Brilliant book, life-changing for me. So it has its positive and its negative. It's lead and it's gold. It's shadow and it's light, which is the words that it uses on the card. So the shadow is the toxic, is the lead, is the stuff you don't want to look at, right? You keep it back in the shadow. And even if you are aware of it, you don't want anybody to know about it, right? So it's all shadow. It's shade. It's just all that shady shit going on in back. We all have it. And that shady shit is what twin flame contracts are for, to help you learn how to heal and love and embrace and transform and alchemize from lead to gold. But the light attribute is sort of pointing at the direction of where you really want to head individually. Because remember, you can't help each other heal in a twin flame. You can only learn how to heal yourself, love yourself, set boundaries, all of that. All right, so our Divine Feminine, we've got one of the many child archetypes here. Now, everybody has the child archetype because everybody was a child, right? Nobody is born 50 years old. You may be reborn at 50 years old. I certainly was. I have purple hair now. I died and came back with purple hair. But the child archetype is the guardian of innocence, right? The guardian of safety. If the child feels safe, it's childlike and innocent, has new beginnings. If the child does not feel safe, it won't go for anything. You bring him to anywhere that's fun and wonderful, and it's afraid, it's going to be child ish. So childlike and childish is really the light and the shadow, but the eternal child is a very specific piece of the child archetype. We're looking at Peter Pan. Now, usually we see Peter Pans in divine masculines, not divine feminines, but let's have a look-see-duck-say. The shadow attribute, inability to grow up and be responsible, extreme dependency on others for physical security, and really underline the word extreme. Like, we all need help every now and again, right? With the coronavirus going on, I dare not speak of the flu, but you know what I mean. It's like when you're sick and you can't even get out of bed for fear of shitting it if you move, sometimes you need help. You need people to go and get, medicine and food if you eat, right, during that for you. So we're talking about an extreme dependence here, an inability to grow up, an unwillingness to. But the light attribute is kind of worth it if you can alchemize it. I love this archetype when it's healthy. Determination to remain young in body, mind, and spirit. Ability to see things with fresh eyes. There's nothing like that, right? We get so stuck in these grooves, right? Mental patterns and behaviors of just, it's just another day, and it's just, like, particularly with the news cycle, it's like, it's like, we need to see this all with fresh eyes. The eyes of what? The soul that sees purpose, not reason, right? It's like, there's a purpose here. We're all growing and evolving. And nothing like an eternal child for that. Not like that annoying optimism, but that ability to wipe the eyes clean, right? Maybe after tears. Sometimes it goes that way. A little maturity, but willing to stay young in spirit, mind, body, right? Kind of, let's do this. Let's be a little bit, let's try and see this all with fresh eyes rather than this, because everything's changing and evolving now, if you haven't noticed. So it's interesting for the divine feminine to have the divine child there. We're so used to thinking of men in that role. And remember, that can be a male, right? We're not talking bodily gender. Very cool, though. So this is the survival family of archetypes. All archetypes belong to a family. This is the survival ones that everybody has the child, the victim, the saboteur, the prostitute. Go read sacred contracts. And this is the advocate, the divine masculine advocate, which is the action family of archetypes. The shadow, embracing negative causes or committing to causes for personal gain. Like you stand up and you give your endorsement. I'm going to give voices to those who don't have voices. Meanwhile, you're totally taking a cut under the table, and that's the only reason you're doing it. You don't believe in the cause at all. It's one thing if you really believe and have passion for a cause and you're getting paid for it. But if you're just sort of like, or embracing a negative cause, standing up, being an advocate for racism, sexism, all that stuff in the shadow that turns your tummy, right? So, we all may fall for that. It's another thing to deliberately choose that, but to start working towards the light attribute inspires you to put compassion into action. So much simpler. Do you see how complex the shadow is and how simple the light is? It's like, I just have to put compassion into action. You can do that by smiling at people silently and holding doors open for them, even praying for people. Prayer is action. I know people like thoughts and prayers, and I agree. The thoughts and prayers without actions are pretty weak. But if you're really doing your spiritual work and sending love, believe me, you will be inspired to take action and put compassion into action. So, lovely couple. This, now remember, not every twin flame is sexual romantic. This, with the advocate and the child, the eternal child, this could be a work situation. This could actually be a parental situation. One would think the divine masculine being the parent, the divine feminine, the child, but we don't know that. We don't know that for sure. We're going to lay out more cards, because if there are so many romantic sexual cards in these decks that if they hit the table, it changes everything, right? It's like a drop of ink in white milk, right? It just sort of goes, okay, this is now a different color. Let's say food coloring. Ugh. So the overall contract, this would affect both of them. Interesting. The contract itself has the exorcist archetype, very close to the shaman archetype in a lot of ways. This is the divine family, the exorcist, because people want to talk about spiritual. I'm like, well, spiritual, lots of things are spiritual. That's not necessarily of the highest vibration, right? That's why when I talk about the divine, I guess the demons are divine, but, spiritual energy, lower vibrational, toxic stuff. This is what the exorcist deals with. So it's not all about pea soup and pissing on the floor when mom has company. The shadow attribute, fear of facing your own demons. And who doesn't have that? Who's born with a willingness to not just look at their shadow, but face and embrace and alchemize, right? But that is the work of the shadow. It shows us where our love, where our attention is needed. It is the collective, everything that we are. What are our demons, if not our individual, personal, as well as collective repressed material, the stuff we don't want to look at? And then when we're tired, when we're annoyed, when we're stressed, it possesses us like a demon. That's why I think the word, symbolically, demonic possession, is like emotional pain body possession. Go read Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now. He talks about that way more than I can in a reading. So the light attribute, freeing yourself and others of destructive impulses. Look, you can sage all you want. It's not going to make a wounded child wound go away, right? You have to actually process through that stuff. And keep in mind, by listening to the voice of the inner child, the heart chakra, your emotions, in safe space, you love what rises, right? You give it breath, you let it speak, but you don't let it drive, you don't let it text, you don't let it have your conversations until it's feeling what? More of that seeing things with fresh eyes, whether you're the divine masculine or the divine feminine, because we all have children with unprocessed pain inside of us, let alone the children in our lives. See, I don't. I have cats. Just easier gig altogether. So the Eternal Child, the Advocate, and the Exorcist, this is a very Capricornian read. I feel a lot of work ahead of you, and you guys are up for it. But those will be our main energies. Everything else we are going to build horizontally will clarify. Like, for instance, Healing with the Angels, Oracle, Doreen Virtue. We're going to ask the angels, what are the healing angels, right? If it's healing with the angels, then what is the healing with the angels, right? For each of them, nice, deep breath. Still point. Oh, my angels, hi. First reading of the day. I know we spoke earlier. We always do. First reading of the day, please. 3 cards, one for the divine feminine, one for the divine masculine, one for the overall contract here. This Capricorn collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, Twin Flame contract for February, March 2020. Please, one for the divine feminine, Eternal Child, dealing everything face down. Please, one for the divine masculine Advocate in this contract. Thank you. And one for the overall Capricorn collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, Twin Flame contract, February, March 2020. Let's see who we got. We got the Eternal Child with support. Okay, so, right, what is it? Inability to grow up and be responsible, extreme dependency on others. Well, the support is there, but the support is there not just in spirit, like I'm with you in spirit, but literally the divine is backing up this divine feminine, right? The angels, the gods, the masters. So if you are the divine feminine here and you may be struggling a little bit about dependency issues, and look, dependency issues are a lot of what these twin flame contracts are about, particularly emotional dependency, codependency, giving yourself the love that only you can give you. These are really good examples and places to start, but know that you have all the help in the universe. Sometimes you just got to ask. You know, like I talk to my angels. Like, they don't show up with my eyes open physically. They know I will call a therapist. I will be on Thorazine so damn fast. No. I'm a witch from New York, honey. I don't need to be seeing shit with my eyes open unless it's absolutely necessary. I see enough with my third eye, thank you very much. But I do ask them, can you help me with this? Like, I got to get these readings done today. Actually, I have 2 clients today, face-to-face. Video call, both of them. So, you know, can you help me get through this? Plus, I've got a family thing on Saturday. I'm cooking for it all day tomorrow, and can you help me, right? So the support is there. So if you are the divine feminine here and you're not feeling so supported and you want to see things with fresh eyes, really do go into prayer. Ask, even if it's just out loud, like, hey, your angels, help me. And, you know, parking spot angels are cute and all. I've seen them here. But I mean, you really get that. It's like, oh, I'm not in this alone. I don't have to do this all by myself. I actually do have help. Particularly teach me how to do what this twin flame contract is trying to teach me, right? So for the divine masculine Advocate, the angel there is trust. Now look, an advocate really needs to have trust in themselves, needs to have trust in the process, needs to have trust in the cause that they are advocating for. I don't get the feeling want that card of trust, because this is the angel that is trying to help them heal, that this is somebody who would operate primarily and only in the shadow, right? Just kind of backing up things because they're getting paid for it, or there's what's the word they use? It's a really good word for personal gain of some kind. But it does feel like that this person is trustworthy and looks for trust, and may have had their trust hurt or broken in relationships, regardless of what form this relationship takes. So really learning how to trust the universe, how to trust the divine, how to trust the process, how to trust their own intuition, how to trust our own inspiration, and on and on and on. You can be very inspired and intuitively drawn to work for a cause, and then have it go south. I've seen it happen hundreds of times in this lifetime, not just my own, but many other people's. And to understand that it's the people that you met and the people that you did help, right? Like, trust that that was part of the purpose, or is it just the organization doing what it's supposed to do? Did it serve its purpose, right? It's tricky to trust that, but usually in hindsight, we do see that, right? So let's have a look-see-dook-see at this exorcist then, the overall contracts. You could say this archetype is greatly influencing both the divine feminine and the divine masculine here, getting rid of negative energy through listening. Now, not just hearing, listening, like actually being present, having conversations, and even if you don't agree with the other person, you love them enough and give them the respect to hear them, not be ready to like jump down their throat the second they stop talking or thinking what you're going to say, right? That's not being present. That's actually rude. That's you could call that psychically rude, telepathically crude, right? But it's something we all do. That's the ego, like ready to make its point, ready to show how much it knows, right? Rather than to know that freeing yourselves and others, both of you, of destructive impulses comes from really listening to each other, as well as knowing that your angel, since you both, this is the Healing with the Angels Oracle, that you are being heard. Listen to your better angels. Now, that's not just the celestial beings necessarily, that's also your conscience. Carolyn Mace once said, I forget when she said it, this might be years ago, she said we really need to there's a differentiation between your consciousness and your conscience, right? Your conscience is like grace telling you, don't do that. Don't do that. You know that's harmful, right? Right as you're about to do it, that's a lifesaver. A big old peppermint lifesaver. Now we are going to clarify this even further with two tarot decks. One for the Divine Feminine, we're going to use the Daughters of the Moon Tarot. One for the Divine Masculine, we're going to use the Mythic Tarot. Only 2 cards each, so this vertical line, you'll see I pop up a picture at the end, will have 4 cards in it where the rest of them have 3. So we're going to start with the ladies. Ladies first, the goddesses. Nice deep breath. Oh, I need one more. Still point. My goddesses, please. 2 cards, one for the Divine Feminine and one for this Twin Flame contract. The Divine Feminine, Eternal Child in this Capricorn collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign Twin Flame contract for February, March. Please, 1 card for this Eternal Child Divine Feminine face down, and 1 please for this Capricorn collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign Twin Flame contract February, March 2020, the overall contract. Thank you very much. And while we've got the Divine Masculines here, let's get their cards, and I'll just read the whole line in a row. Breathe. Oh my gods, my Divine Masculine collectives, please, please. 2 cards, 1 for the Divine Masculine Advocate here, as well as 1 for the Soul Contract. This Capricorn collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, Twin Flame contract, February, March 2020. Please, please, please. 1 for this Divine Masculine Advocate, please, my gods. That was easy enough. And 1 for this overall. Now, 2 cards won't do it. It was my fault, not theirs. Please, 1 card for this Capricorn collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, Twin Flame contract for February March 2020. That was much cleaner. All right, so remember, eternal child with support, angelic support. Yes, this may manifest as other people who are supportive, but it's really the internal spiritual support that we're looking at here. She has the guidance and the grace there. Will she see that with fresh new eyes? Well, good. We've got the Ten of Flames here, the Hora. If you've ever been to a bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, or a Jewish wedding, usually in the reception, there's Hava Nagila. Now, why I say bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, and wedding, because all of those are rites of passage, right? So usually there is a journey that has to be taken, whether it's learning Hebrew or, just getting married. Oh my God, what you go through, right? To make that rite of passage. So a lot of work has been put in here, I get here, for this this divine feminine eternal child, and it's probably more spiritual work, but really aspirational in the sense of really trying to get to a certain place, to see things a certain way. Yeah, sure, it's the manifestation of desire, the completion of the element of fire, the suit of wands, flames in this deck, but celebratory, different than that, carrying those wands home in the Rider-Waite. So this feels good, particularly because there's like a circle of angels here and a circle of celebrants, I guess we can say, there in the Ten of Flames. So perhaps more of the light eternal child manifesting here, willing to say, okay, we got this done, now what, right? It's like, yay, we got what we wanted. That does feel communal somehow, though it may or may not involve this divine masculine advocate. So let's look. Come on, Melchior, come sit down with Mama. Come on. My boys, it's a sunny day, so they're bouncing around the house from window to window. So we've got this divine masculine advocate, oops, come here, with the card of trust. Now, even just holding this card of trust, does he have trust issues? Well, I don't know anybody who doesn't. But it feels like that's something that he needs to learn how to heal in this contract, because I don't get the feeling that this eternal child, divine feminine, is necessarily untrustworthy. So there's another layer of it right there. And what's his card? Page of Wands. The pages are interesting because they don't always necessarily represent people so much as they represent messengers, right? The knights, the kings, the queens, you can fit into the zodiacal spectrum of mutable, fixed, and cardinal energies: fire, earth, air, water. 3 times 4, 12 signs of the zodiac. The pages, though, are messengers. They can show up as people, but often more it's about an actual message that comes to you intuitively, intellectually, through the mail, right? A song on the radio. But one that particularly incites passion, will, element of fire. And I'm going to say immature, but I don't mean childish immature. I mean, like you look across the room and you smile at somebody. Right? Like, that's a hello, but that's an immature greeting, meaning that it's going to grow. Like a seed is not a tree, right? An apple seed is not an apple, right? It's in the family of, it will become that eventually if it's tended and grown, right? So there is an opportunity here. Now, element of fire for me is passionate and desire, and then they both have fire cards in this middle line here. Him a page, her a 10. So who's got the maturity here? That's an interesting thing, at least in terms of the manifestation of desire, something to celebrate, where he might very much be initiating something. Like, if these two haven't met yet, they could meet at a celebration. But if they have met, she might be really fulfilling something in her life that affects this relationship. Maybe she's just really happy with the way things are. Oh, and then may not want to continue maturing and taking responsibility. They might just be having a really good time. But then this page of wands here, that there are some messages either that he is giving or receiving, feels more like receiving, that is challenging the trust here. Sometimes when people are having a good time, people will show up with bad news just to piss in the Cheerios of those involved. Can be something like that. That would change the tone of the fire. That would be more like anger. But remember, passion goes both directions, positive and negative, right? Interesting. We still have more cards. Let's see now, in this third line, we've got a divine masculine and a divine feminine card here in this, Exorcist archetype with listening. And we've got the Two of Cups with Strength, a major arcana card. So look, Two of Cups, we're not going to we're not going to rewrite tarot here. Yeah, it's about an attraction, an emotional connection of some kind. But if we're looking at Hercules, in the mythic tarot here, then this divine masculine, divine feminine have a very, very strong emotional connection. So even though it's just a 2, not a 10, chances are that they're going to have to endure quite a bit, right? Courage. The word cœur comes from the French for the word of the heart. Cœur. C-O-U-E-R, I'm pretty sure. So I can feel that. There's some negative stuff here that's going to have to be, interesting, that if the two of them can really communicate honestly and really listen to each other, then I think if there's any sort of weird, gossipy, bitchy news going around, messages going around that may be, there's the word inflammatory, has the word flame in it, then, that's going to, of course, influence the emotional connection here. But if they can be brave, they can really learn a lot from this. If they can really have heart, endure. Like, to me, the card of Strength isn't about, physical upper body strength, right? It's about emotional strength. It's the ability to feel and go through what you're going through. The grace of endurance, the crone grace. The 3 graces I work with, the maiden, the mother, the crone, which is humility, hope, and endurance. In my book, Words of Grace, the link is in the description box below. It really is. It's like I need the humility to know that I don't know, the hope that somehow this is all, teaching me something to learn, heal, grow, become the best that I can be, and the endurance to live through it. Well, this is the endurance part. Now, keep in mind, this is a Capricorn read, so y'all have that built-in endurance. I mean, both of you are Capricorns, great. That's a slow and steady wins the race. You'll eventually get where you want to go. But keeping in mind, it is a twin flame that you may have to endure quite a bit of listening to each other's pain, right? Or hearing stuff, particularly the divine masculine, that if you're advocating for this eternal child, things that might challenge your trust in this eternal child. Although, for what I'm seeing there, it doesn't feel like she's that untrustworthy. Just saying. From what's on the table so far. Because don't worry, we've got the Chuck Spezzano Love Pack next, which half of the deck is the suit of problems, or as I like to call them, the womp womp cards. Womp womp, right? The other 3 suits are the luck, the healing, and the grace suits, which kind of help balance that out. Because if you got a problem, and you need to know what the problems are. What's the grain of sand in the belly of the oyster that makes the pearl of wisdom, right? There are no problems. There is only destiny being revealed. Matt Kahn. I got that from his healing mantra deck. It's so good. He's so right. We just don't want to see it that way, right? It takes a spiritual adult, spiritual maturity for that. So we're going to ask the Ascended Masters, again, 1 card each, one for the Divine Feminine, the Divine Masculine, and the contract itself. Let's see where you all are with the Love Pack. Baby, Love Pack. Love, baby. That's where it's at. Hold on one second. I got kitties scratching for food. It's just so easier to pause and deal with him. He's my youngest too. He's so good. And he was hungry. I have to put the food bowl up, otherwise the other 2 just eat all day long. It's not great. Little bowling ball cats, that's not healthy, right? So speaking of healthy, let's love pack this. Ready? We're going to ask the Ascended Masters. Nice deep breath. Still point. Hi. They're so cool. They really are. They're like the cool kids. The Ascended Masters, the older kids, sit in the back of the bus. They've been here, done that. Have the refined auric field. Here we go. My Ascended Masters, please, 3 cards from this Chuck Spezzano Love Pack. 1 for the Divine Feminine, 1 for the Divine Masculine, 1 for the overall contract. This Capricorn Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign Twin Flame contract for February, March 2020. Please, 1 for the Divine Feminine, Eternal Child. We'll take that one. These 2 we're just going to say fell out. I don't know what he wants. Please, 1 for the Divine Masculine in this Capricorn Twin Flame contract, February, March 2020. And please, 1 for this Capricorn Collective. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, Twin Flame contract for January, February 2020. Please, my masters, just put it right in my hand. Thank you. so distracting, but he's so cute. See, people are like, how are your pets? I'm like, pets? They're my children. No one said we had to be rational about our kids. Speaking of, we've got the eternal child here, right, with support, our divine feminine. Ten of Flames, like, I gotta say, this, like, lightens this all up. Like, yes, it's true, when children have what they want, when they achieve what they set out to achieve, regardless of age, they're more in the light side. So let's have a look. Let's see if this worm turns. Yeah, jealousy, had a feeling, right? So the childish jealousy here. Jealousy is very much the voice of the inner child when it has not gotten what it wants, right? So even though there is a fulfillment here, this is minor arcana, this is not major life fulfillment, but really has the support going on to move past this and start again, and every 10 is the seed of the 1. But with that card of jealousy, you know, a lot of times it's just that little kid that didn't get what it wanted growing up. Look, everybody wants a purple polka dotted pony growing up. First of all, where the fuck are you going to find one? Second of all, do you understand how much it costs to board and feed a horse, right? You know, it's like, that's a life changer. That's just going to change the entire direction of your life. So, sorry you didn't get the pony. Or the playhouse, Pee-wees or otherwise, you know what I'm saying. There's just all of that stuff is scripted, but if it's not dealt with, and who deals with that well as a child, it backs up and eventually it becomes jealousy. Now, a little different than envy, which is a deadly sin, the deadly sin of the third eye. Go read Defy Gravity by Carolyn Mace, or my book, Words of Grace from a Professional Witch. It's such a good book. I mean, I wrote it, but every now and again I read it, I go, this is really good. But that's where that jealousy comes from. It's like, when the fuck is it my turn? How come they get that? I've been praying, I made a vision board. Like, if that's all it took was fucking oak tag, right? No, manifestation's tricky, and we can't manifest things that aren't in the divine plan, but we have that intuitive call to want the things that are in the divine plan, right? So when's it my turn? When's it my time? It's written, it's coming, but that's why jealousy needs to be dealt with. And to get that, there's so much support for this healing, and she's already got a good chunk of what she wants, at least a moment of that Hava Nagila, let's dance the hora, rite of passage fulfilled. For a divine child, that's really great, but needs to keep her eye on childish jealousy, right? Like, if somebody's got a better provider, and I don't mean healthcare. Let's maybe that too. So let's look at the divine masculine advocate. Trust issues, and I feel like she's truster. See, but with this jealousy thing, it does feel like there is a trust issue going on here, which can make this a touch romantic sexually, perhaps. And with this Page of Wands, then it could be a passionate communication that's triggering off her jealousy, and here we go. And he's got the erotic. So this is a romantic sexual contract here. Now, I'm sorry if you were watching and you thought this was about a parent or a child or a coworker. With the card of the erotic there, unless this divine masculine just walks around, and that's the suit of luck, is just lucky to be erotic 24/7, 365. Some of us are just blessed that way. God, I crack myself up. I do not take myself that seriously. Hopefully I never will. But really, this is now, with jealousy and eroticism here, the erotic, we're definitely looking at a romantic sexual contract here. That's what I said. There are plenty of cards in this deck that will spell it out. So there really does need to be a communication here where they really listen to each other, because her jealousy may have absolutely nothing to do with what the advocate is doing one way or another, because a Page of Wands, like I said, is a messenger or a message, not necessarily a person. Or, you know, vice versa, that the sexual innuendos are flying around and someone's taking it personally and feeling offended and feeling jealous. But with that energy of the erotic there, if these two, this advocate and this eternal child, remember, it's an adult, we're talking adults here, we're not talking disgusting gross like that. But then, if this is a business thing, then there really should not be, like, if the advocate is a professional advocate and the child is the one being advocated for, then this shit needs to be cleaned up. That's just not ethical. I may be judgmental about very little, but I was in a nonprofit for long enough to know that it gets very, very shaky, very, very shady when people start being unethical. And I always do my best to be honorable. I'm not allowed to do anything but walk the high road, otherwise I get the Monty Python Deus Ex Machina foot. Nope, thanks. Been through that enough. Would rather avoid it if possible. Right. So interesting contract, but let's look at the contract itself. We've got the Exorcist. With listening, it does feel like these negative impulses can be exorcised from the relationship, at least to a point of peace, and then maybe the next thing will happen. But if that's what they're really learning here, that's worth it. But it's going to take really listening. Like, not just to the words, but perhaps feel the pain the person is in, and then really hear it when the other person says, I'm so sorry you're in that pain, but I didn't cause that pain. I may have triggered it, unless there really is infidelity going on here. Mind you, there is an infidelity card in this Chuck Spezzano love pack, so we'll see if that comes. But also, we're looking at this Two of Cups, this emotional connection. These two are probably, if not in love, then have definitely that heart-centered vibe there, as an advocate would for somebody if they are advocating for a child any way, shape, or form, regardless of age. But with this card of strength, it's going to take some chutzpah. It's going to take... you're going to need a pair to get through this. You're going to definitely need a nice set of cojones to get through this. Your courage, your bravery, the emotional, psychological tenacity and strength to clear this up, to heal this. And if that's what it develops within you, and then the relationship, the contract is fulfilled, so be it. You'll be carrying that card of strength, that heart strength, perhaps strengthening your boundaries, knowing that even though the emotional connection is here, I need to work on my trust, right? Or I need to work on supporting myself, looking at those healing angels there. So with all of that, what's the Chuck Spezzano card? Happiness. These two can be happy together. Look. It's like I said about my father being a twin flame. We loved each other very much. I was never going to be a Republican, Catholic, heterosexual. I am a liberal, witch, homosexual, right? That's just how it is. I had to learn how to give myself and my father loved me. We loved each other, but he was never going to be okay with that. It's just he wasn't written that way. So I had to learn how to love him. He croaked before we resolved this, so it was much easier to do with him. I'm not a medium, I'm a rare. It doesn't mean I can't talk to Dad when I need to. And we did, many times over the decades. So we've had our happy moments. There definitely can be happiness here. And even perhaps a romantic, erotic happiness, but it's still going to be tumultuous, transformative. It doesn't really change that you're teaching each other how to heal, not helping each other heal. Because that is certainly the truth. My father wasn't going to take any healing knowledge from me, considering he died the summer between high school and college for me. So, there's definitely some happiness on the table here for them. And that's why, if this is a business thing with a little hanky-panky going on, well, kind of exercise the destructive impulses that are going on here would be my counsel. But you really need to listen to each other. Listen to each other's pain, because there can still be a happy environment here. And this is the suit of grace. Grace is a divine substance. So imagine the grace of happiness permeating this. That this is all about helping this contract learn how to be happy regardless of what the other person does. Doesn't mean that they have to hate each other. But I will say this about twin flames. When the erotic shows up, it's hot, right? Burning, a flame, it's transformative. It burns you up, reduces you to ash sometimes too as a result, metaphorically speaking. Let's get 3 Whispers of Love Oracle, the voices of the higher selves. 1 for the Divine Feminine, which would be the higher self, her higher self. Remember her, we're talking Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine here. 1 from the higher self of this advocate, and 1 card for both of them in the collective. We'll choose 1 for this third line, the contract itself, right? Nice deep breath. What, Melky? She's made a beeline for me. Come on, baby, come sit with me. Come on, don't be an asshole. Isn't that just the deepest spiritual counsel? Don't be an asshole. Come on up. You're so good, boy. Lay down. Lay down for mama. I'm mama because they can't say daddy. They go, mama. Works for me. Lay down. Oh, you're so sweet. I'd pick him up, but all the cards would go flying. I love you too. He just gave me the slow blink. Lay down. My assistant, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Nice deep breath. Good, I made you all laugh. Please, the Higher Self Collective, one card. Well, 3 cards. One for the Divine Feminine, one for the Divine Masculine. He found a leaf. One for the Divine Masculine, one for the Divine Feminine, one for the overall Capricorn Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, Sign, Twin Flame contract for February 2020. Please, one for this Divine Feminine Eternal Child, one for this Divine Masculine Advocate, and one for this overall Capricorn Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, Sign, Twin Flame for February, March 2020, please. This kitten is determined to distract me. He found a leaf and he's batting it all over the living room. Here we go. Again, Divine Feminine, Eternal Child. Angels are saying the support's here. The spiritual support, yes, this advocate might be part of their support team. You know, that child, if they're unable to provide and give themselves the full support they need. But with this Hava Nagila, you know, Ten of Flames horror card, feels like she's getting what she needs, or at least what she wants. There's definitely a stage of completion here that feels very celebratory, and yet still there is the temptation there of jealousy, right? That to be jealous of either what somebody else has. I do feel like that does relate to this advocate, Divine Masculine. And like I said, there are cards that come right out and spell it. What's the message from the Higher Self, the Whisper of Love? Romance. Literally the romance card. Lavish the one that you love with your personal attention and affection. So I'm wondering if these two are feeling this, but it has not been communicated yet, that the energy is there. This Divine Masculine Advocate might be very trustworthy, but the people around him may not, may be triggering this jealousy, and there is a romantic connection, but an eternal child, though, may be very capable of seeing it that way with fresh new eyes. That jealousy is going to get in the way. And does the Divine Feminine Eternal Child have the maturity? In fact, maybe that's where this overture came from, or vice versa, that Page of Wands, that message of passion and desire. Just very interesting. Like I said, there are certain cards in the decks that I use that come right out and say it. This is no question a romantic. So we've got the romantic card and the erotic card. So there's your romantic sexual dynamic. But with that card of jealousy, look, like a little jealousy, if it's playful, can be cute, right? It's like, look at my man, right? Like, that's like cute and all. But, you know, if it really devolves into the deadly sin of envy, it's the deadly sin of the third eye. It makes people crazy, like really like sane, intelligent people keying cars, right? And, you know, blackmailing people. It just goes, it makes you crazy. Which, by the way, the grace that heals envy is the grace of knowledge. Sacred knowledge, not just I know where they are, what they're doing, but like the sacred knowledge, oh right, there's more than enough for everybody. Everything that I'm going to have in this life is already scripted in the quantum. I just need to watch the movie and do what I'm supposed to do, what life is asking of me, right? To walk my path, to learn, to heal, to grow. Because there's nothing wrong with wanting romance. I just wonder if this Divine Masculine Advocate can do it. Not in terms of capacity, I'm sure he's capable of it, but that thing of in terms of honor and integrity, there's just something weird going on here, and we'll see what pops up there. Because we've got the Divine Masculine Advocate with the card of trust, and again, trusting himself, trusting, is he trustworthy? I feel like he is, but then there's this Page of Flame messenger. It could be a sext, which is a text, right? It could be a twin flame, an old flame from the past appearing out of nowhere, a message with some eroticism there that would certainly trigger the jealousy of the Divine Feminine. But what if she hasn't expressed those feelings? See, a twin flame, it can be somebody that you never reveal your feelings for, and it just burns you alive, and you learn the lessons associated with that, which are really rough. So what's going on for this Divine Masculine from his higher self? Look at your pattern in relationships. It requires strength to recognize that you need to change or modify your behavior. Well, that makes sense then, that he's done this before. He's been in this place before, this advocate. You know, different than the rescuer archetype. That's the healing family. This is the action family, where you fall in love with those you rescue. Well, this might be that there is this erotic connection for someone that he's supposed to be advocating for. Now, I can't go too far in the shadow on that because when my mother divorced my father, she met my stepfather, her divorce lawyer, supposed to advocate for her, and they're still married now to this day. Like, I'm going up in a couple of weeks to Saratoga to see them, right? So that one worked out. So, but they're definitely not twin flame, although I call them Zeus and Hera, and they're funny as fuck when they argue now that they're older. It was real thunder and lightning back in the day, but that's their passion, right? They always healed it. They always worked it out between the two of them, right? A teacher and a lawyer, they always talked it out. We never saw it, but they talked it out, right? So, you know, I get this advocate here that he's really having to really deal with his own trust issues here. Should he trust this? Should he trust that this is something to go into? If it is, and it is, a twin flame contract, then learn, right? Feel the erotic energy, but don't necessarily act on it. Look at your patterns in relationship. Try something different this time, right? Try a different means, modality, way of working through this. Well, and as sort of indicated here, now I'm not saying that the sexual eroticism is destructive, negative energy, but if it is destructive in this context, right? If this is business, freeing oneself and others from destructive impulses, well, then this romantic sexual impulse, if it's not, God, the word just flew out of my head. If it's not of the utmost integrity, if it is inappropriate, there's the word. If it's against the tenets of the company, or if he's a professional advocate, right? If there's something hinky going on there, right, ethically, you two really need to listen to each other. You need to really have this out, listen to each other in a safe way, because with that Two of Cups strong, and with the Strength strong attraction, you're both really learning about honor and integrity here, if this is really the case, because right now there's a happiness there, and that is absolutely reflected in the Ten of Flames. That might have been when this message either went from the Divine Masculine to the Divine Feminine, or vice versa. So what's the whisper of love? Appreciate this moment. Each and every situation has an opportunity to grow and find love. Well, love for yourself, love for honor. That's what twin flames are all about. You can get so high on your honor, but sometimes we have to make the decisions that we are most terrified to make, or are the most uncomfortable. Like to say to somebody, I am so attracted. I've had to say this to people, I am so attracted to you. Like, for example, I will not sleep with my students. No, if you're my students, forget it. Sorry. Well, and if you're female, moot point, I'm gay, right? But, you know, there have been some male students of mine, you know, here, there, not consistently in my career, where if they, because I will never approach a student that way, but if they like hit on me, I'm like, you gotta wait till you're not my student. Yeah, I think you're adorable, but let's not speak of this until we're done. Because I don't want to carry that. That's an act of self-love for myself, and boy, does that take courage and strength. So this whisper of love, of enjoy this moment, right? Appreciate this moment. There's something so huge for both of you in terms of your what? Maturity, your emotional maturity. Yeah, twin flames can be passionate, hot, boiling, scalding, passionate, sexual, hot, erotic energy. Doesn't make them healthy, right? And you have to negotiate that and learn how to heal. But with that Two of Cups, there's also an emotional bond here that you guys can share happiness perhaps in one part of your lives, but the sexual romantic seems a little crazy. Seems a little, crazy is not the word, imbalanced, and I don't mean psychologically. Yeah, solar plexus honor code, just not great. And Capricorns, you are slow and steady wins the race. Slow your roll on this. Really look at the contract. Read the contract, so to speak. Get what the writing on the wall here for yourself and what you need to learn, whether you're the Divine Feminine or the Divine Masculine. Last card down should be helpful, always are. Healing Mantra deck, Matt Kahn. I'm just going to pull one, so whether you are the Divine Feminine Eternal Child or the Divine Masculine Advocate archetype, in this contract you'll be able to use this mantra for your own healing, and if it influences the twin flame, which one would think, are you going to heal yourself? It's going to change the dynamic in the contract. Then maybe you can fulfill a clause in it, or maybe complete it entirely. You never know. Nice deep breath. We need those ascended masters of twin flame contracts. Oh, my ascended masters. Hi, hi, hi. My ascended masters of twin flame contracts, please. One card, the perfect healing mantra for this Capricorn collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign twin flame contract. February, March 2020, please. One that no matter who says it, it will benefit them. They will heal. They will learn. They will grow. They will become the best that they can be and hopefully fulfill their role in this twin flame contract so that they can move on. Or at least have a healthy, somewhat balanced relationship. Creating cooperation. Oh, very interesting. Creating cooperation. So this eternal child is going to have to learn how to cooperate, which is just really funny because as a kid in the 70s, it's all you heard about. Electric Company and Sesame Street. They always talked about cooperation. Where'd it go? Sort of vanished off the planet. Everything's coming around again. Thank you, Carly Simon. Creating cooperation. More gets accomplished when everybody has a role to play. More gets accomplished when everybody has a role to play. So definitely there needs to be some activity going on here. Hold on, let me get it. I'm going to read it from the book, because this one comes up a lot with my clients. More gets accomplished when everyone has a role to play in creating cooperation. When cooperation is created, the unity of all is assessed to accomplish more in one moment than any one person can do alone. Yeah, so we're definitely looking at some dependency here with this eternal child, which is really in there, right? Inability to grow up and be responsible, extreme dependency on others for physical security. So there's definitely that thing of bringing more into this and everybody doing their part, so to speak. As a creator of cooperation, you are giving others the right to contribute, which only broadens the effect of collective expression. Once cooperation is created, all facades of competition melt away, allowing each individual to feel a renewed depth of self-worth by serving a vision greater than any degree of individual gain. And that is so in the bailiwick of the Advocate in its light. And this child, if you can look at this with new eyes, like this might be an organization of advocacy that they could be working on, and there's some sexual vibes bouncing around and someone's jealous and all of that. And it's like, you know what? Let's all cooperate. Let's not forget why we are here, right? We're here to accomplish a larger vision, because you can't really have jealousy without competition, right? That feeling of competing for something. This mantra is ideal for enhancing teamwork, would definitely lend itself to that, transforming family dynamics and increasing inner peace. Increasing inner peace by knowing that you're not in this alone. More gets accomplished when everyone has a role to play. Let's get you the overview. I'll pop up the picture. We'll see what else appears in the puzzle, shall we? Magic clap. We've got this eternal child with support and the Hora. So it does feel like the spiritual alignment is there, that the program is set, the divine is at work, and this eternal child, divine feminine, is in that place of the Hora, a thing of celebration, a completion of desire, perhaps has reached a plateau on the mountain, but not all the way to the top. And what's hampering here is definitely jealousy. This does feel like this is a childish pattern, meaning going back to childhood, childish, but also one that comes out particularly when she's tired or doesn't get what she wants, or God forbid both of them at the same time, because there is a very, very strong romantic energy here, and she wants very much to lavish the one that she loves with her personal attention and affection, but with jealousy there, that's going to come out with some bitterness. She really has to learn how to resolve that in this twin flamer. The Divine Masculine Advocate with trust. Now, this trust card takes on so many different facets here, depending on whether this advocate is in the shadow or the light. If it's in the shadow, then he really is learning about how to be trustworthy with this angel of trust, how to heal his own ability to be trustworthy, to show up, to be dependable, to not color outside the lines ethically. But if he really is in the light attribute, then it's about trusting this eternal child, divine feminine. It's like, can we do this? Can when we have this romantic sexual thing, or are you gonna really blow shit up? And that would make sense because it's got that Page of Wands, an immature message either given or received, usually about passion. And next to the card of the erotic in the Chuck Spezzano deck, I'm gonna say, yeah, it was a sexual innuendo, or, you know, I don't think this is like a human resources thing where somebody said the wrong thing. I'm thinking this is like a real message, perhaps even a date or a request for one, something, a shot across somebody's bow that got the erotic energy moving here. And he really needs to look at his pattern in his relationships, because it requires inner strength for him to recognize that he needs to change or modify his behavior, right? To say, no, I mean, I feel it, but this is inappropriate, it's unethical, if that's what's going on. If these two are already together as a couple, then that really turns this into a trust issue of, is it every time he talks to somebody else she gets jealous, but the erotic energy here is so high in this one that he attracts lots of people that way. So there has to be a trust lesson to learn. He needs to learn how to trust his own, you know, instincts, his own intuition, his own boundaries, as well as become trustworthy, right? Tricky shit, no question. In this day and age, tricky shit with cell phones and texting and sexting and all of that. The overall contract here, we've got the Exorcist, definitely about either facing the demons that you don't want to face, or freeing yourself and others of destructive impulses, which, like I said, if this is a business situation where the erotic and the romance is inappropriate, to free yourself of that. Not that sexuality and romance in and of itself is destructive, but we know in situations where it can be a bull in a china shop, really very destructive. So the angel card here of listening, to really listen to each other, right? Like an advocate is a voice for others, but yes, they also need to be heard in their own voice, right? Their own voices need to be heard, as well as that of this divine feminine eternal child, because there is a Two of Cups here. This probably started off as a real honest, like, heart connection. Yes, I want to help you. Yes, I see that you're having some trouble here. Let me assist you. But something grew out of this that may be very inappropriate, either societally, ethically, businessly, or like one of them's married, right? One of them's already with somebody, or both of them are, right? And yet together they have this grace card of passion. I mean, I keep looking at that Two of Cups with the card of strength, the Hercules card, strangling the Nemean lion. There's really something here where you might have to curb this romantic sexual thing and just be happy with where you are in this relationship. Therefore, the whisper of love, appreciate this moment. Each and every situation has an opportunity to grow, which I'm really feeling what this is, growing the discipline, the strength, and finding love. Keeping in mind that the mantra here, creating cooperation, more gets accomplished when everyone has a role to play. That whoever is watching this, if you can chant that 100 times a day, more gets accomplished when everyone has a role to play. It will start bringing you some more inner peace, but will also start building a teamwork here between the advocate and the eternal child, where they can really do what needs to get done, that the support can be done in a trustworthy way. But there needs to be a listening here, a negotiation of boundaries of how to move forward, particularly because she's got romance, he's got look at his pattern in relationships, he's done this before, has probably been bitten by it before, and both of them, if you can appreciate this moment, there's a huge opportunity for maybe not the love that you want, but the love you need here, and for both of you to grow. Wow, that's Capricorn read. That is hard. And I have to say, these twin flame reads always are tricky that way, right? Transformative, tricky, turbulent, triggery, like big time. But they're supposed to do that. That is the cause. Like what? What is the purpose? Never look for reason when it comes to soul contracts. You look for purpose, and often you don't see it until it's passed for a bit, right? You see it in hindsight, because the gods do not truck in human reason, is by definition human reason. The gods, the angels, the higher powers truck in divine purpose, which is often a mystery to us, and that's why we call it chaos. They call it the divine plan. Just how it rolls, unfortunately. So get that cooperation created. It will balance this out, and at least even if you part ways, you'll have learned a valuable soul lesson. Here we go. May the Capricorn Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs be blessed in this twin flame contract for February, March 2020 to create cooperation, to appreciate this moment, to learn the trust, find the support, to grow up for the divine feminine if that's necessary, right? To put compassion into action for the divine masculine if it means walking away or doing the right thing here. Overall, to remove the destructive impulses that they may both learn to love themselves, heal themselves, take care of themselves, and fulfill their roles in the divine plan for the well-being of all. So mote it be. Oh, and so it is. Thank you so much for watching. Again, please do like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that cool stuff. Wishing you the very best and the very blessed of the month of March and what's left of February. But for now, hail, farewell, and blessed be.